with special needs. With diverse achievements to her credit, she has received multiple Best Principal Awards for Service in Education and Excellence Awards from 3 governors of state and 3 Lifetime Achievements Awards. She is the recipient of the prestigious National Award for Teachers in 2010 from the then Honorable President of India. Can we have you on stage, ma'am? A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Our next panelist is Mrs. Revathi Srinivasan, the Director, Education and Principal of Srimati Sulochanadevi Singhania School, Thane. With more than 28 years of experience in the field of education, Mrs. Revathi Srinivasan has received wide recognition for her pioneering innovative practices in pedagogy and curriculum development. For providing holistic experience and thought leadership, Mrs. Srinivasan has pioneered numerous practices that have been acknowledged by the way of many awards, nationally and internationally. She is an eloquent speaker and is invited across the world for talks on inclusive education. We welcome you, ma'am. Please come on stage. Our next panelist is Dr. Kavita Aggarwal, the Director, Head of School at D.G. Khetan International School. Having been in the field of education for the last 40 years, Dr. Kavita Aggarwal has been the Principal Director of Academics of leading national and international schools. She has specialized in setting up new schools affiliated with Cambridge International Examinations, Cambridge UK and CISCE curricula, and has been closely associated with the training and mentoring of teachers, including vice principals, principals and administrative staff. Besides being associated with D.G. Khetan International School, she is also the chairperson of the Members of International Schools Association, a prestigious organization of over 110 schools in the country affiliated to Cambridge. Dr. Kavita Aggarwal was also instrumental in initiating a school for hearing-impaired children in Sanskardham Vidyalaya campus and devised a technique to integrate children with special needs into a normal stream. She initiated an ECC Ed course for the preschool teachers and a certificate course in learning difficulty for parents and teachers. We welcome you, ma'am. Please come on stage. We then have Ms. Suseela Santhosh, the Director of Vishwa Vidyapeeth Group of Schools. Ms. Suseela Santhosh is an outstanding educationist with a pioneering spirit and far-sighted vision. Under her leadership, Vishwa Vidyapeeth was invited by the government of China to promote educational and cultural exchange. She has also led the school to break the mold by participating in the annual Skype-a-thon event held by Microsoft, wherein the students of Vishwa Vidyapeeth got an opportunity to virtually visit classrooms across the globe and indulge in cultural exchange programs. With the addition of unique programs like Mother on Duty and parent engagement workshops, she has brought wonders to the school in a very brief span of time, while keeping the core philosophy of the school intact, which is to retain and promote the rich Indian culture and tradition. Ms. Suseela believes that education is the biggest tool for any reforms that we want to incept into the society. At the very core of our humanity is our care for one another, is the mantra which has always been propagated by her. Welcome, ma'am. Please come on stage. I request Dr. D. Usha Reddy to take over as the moderator, please.
So very good afternoon to all of you. And I do hope that the post-lunch session, I know how difficult it is, we'll try to make it as engaging and we'll try to be quick with what we want to say and what we want to ask. So we all believe, like the famous philosopher Heraclitus has said, there's nothing more constant, than change. And I think with the pandemic, we've all realized the way we used to teach to what we started doing during the pandemic has really changed the entire scenario of teaching, learning, transaction. But there are always plus points to everything that happens. Nature had its way of teaching us how we were abusing it. But I think some of the best things in education happened because of the pandemic. For one, I think all our teachers really did a fantastic job and took on online teaching effortlessly. However, I think as the topic for the day has been given to us, I begin my question with Mrs. Aggarwal, and I think she will share her views, on this particular question, that the pandemic has reinforced the role of technology in education. Now that schools are reopening, ma'am, do you feel that technology is a threat, or do you have any other view on it? And I hope you do have some positive views too.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure that today we can proudly say that we all are COVID warriors, isn't it? because we have all fought it together, and now it's endemic, and we have come up again with as warriors in terms of reopening of the schools and facing many challenges when the school is reopened. I'm sure everybody must be sailing in the same boat. Technology, yes, it has become our friend now. We all say technology is a savior for us. Suddenly, when the lockdown was announced, within 48 hours, we all came on the digital platform. We know that the teachers have struggled, the parents have struggled, and it was absolutely like a magic for the children that where they have come, they were confined in 4 walls and they were only in front of the screen. But yes, technology has become boon now. If we say that it supports the regular education, the physical education, yes, it supports the physical education. After this pandemic, I think we have become quite dependent on technology. For everything we remember, if we can show it on the screen, we can actually engage children on the screen. This is how our life pattern has changed, the traditional classroom has changed. The hybrid model has taken over the scene, and technology is supporting. Especially in the higher education, the education has become customized with technology. The child chooses to choose some course, practice something at his leisure time or a comfort level of the home. The technology is actually giving up great help and aid to that. Even for the school children, they have lot of option now. The classroom teaching has become so rich because of AR technology, VR technology. We are able to show everything live on the screen, and the concepts attainment model has become very, very easy. Technology is not supporting the emotional development, it's not supporting the social development, but yes, where the child's IQ is concerned, the technology is helping a lot. Child is able, this is always said that sensorial learning is the best learning for the child. But so technology is giving this sensorial learning. The child is able to see, the child is able to hear, the child is able to engage himself in kinesthetic learning in technology. So the learning has become very, very practical and experiential and engaging. Also for teachers, it has become now a part of their teaching learning program. Because they are depending a lot on what they want to show and what they want to tell. Assessments have become easy because we are not depending on the traditional assessments of writing 3 hours or 2 hours paper. With technology, the teachers can test the knowledge wonderfully with the help of technology. So I always say that it has become a boon even in completing the syllabus. Teacher can always depend that offline and online syllabus can be handled very well. And the children are getting more time to explore their own hobbies, own interest. Especially, it's a wonderful aid for the children, those who are doing homeschooling. So I feel technology is a boon to us.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Kavita. I think that was well shared. And I think, of course, all of us would have gone through this. I think initially there was a lot of concern about screen time and things like that. I always feel when we come to a conference, we need to have some takeaways to see how, other people have actually managed the situation. So a 5E module was something that worked very effectively for us during the pandemic, where the teacher will first engage with the child, even if it's on screen, and the same thing can happen in class off screen as well. So what happens is they motivate and inspire them regarding the topic that they want to declare and start teaching. And then you move on to the next E, where the child can start, exploring a little bit. So first you engage the child, then you let the child explore. So that can become an off-screen activity and experiential learning where they take it to the next level. come back, and the teacher sees what all the children have done, and then they start joining the dots. That's when they explain the entire lesson. So I think in that sense, using technology wisely can really help all of us. The fourth stage, again, is elaborate. So I think using, an off-technology platform or on technology is okay for this stage, where, the child will explore, do some projects, research, and things like that. And the last of it is, again, assessment or evaluation, where you rightly said that technology could play an easier role in actually helping you evaluate. So I think we're all on this page now. When it comes to education or any other field for that instance, once there's a change, we can never get back. And I look at this as an extremely positive change. In fact, I was discussing with some educationists, and we were just thinking about what we would like to take forward in our schools. I think one of the best things that happened was also having your parent-teacher meetings online. Technology played such an easy role because you could give the slots. There was no waiting in the classrooms or beeline of parents, but then you could actually give the slots and take it one-on-one. And also you get time with that particular parent and that particular child. Wonderful. So now I'll move on to the next question, and that is for my dear friend, Mrs. Revathi, sitting here. We know that NEP talks of the importance of technology being introduced or integrated into the curriculum. This was something that was really desired for a country like ours. Because, it's not enough for people sitting in this hall to say, oh, we already use technology, but we're talking of a diverse country where we're still battling with places with no electricity, forget internet, and no devices. How did they cope and things like that? However, for me, I think what I want to ask you is, there are lots of things that NEP has put across. Artificial intelligence for one, bringing in coding is another, machine learning, and so on and so forth. For the advantage of the audience, can you please elucidate a little bit on what you know about these and how you would start implementing it in your schools?
Very good afternoon to you, and thank you, Usha, for this question. Very good afternoon, because I think it is indeed an afternoon where we are all going to put our thoughts into action, and it is also time for us to start rethinking of what education is. So the first question that comes to me is, more often than not, that we wonder, what are we doing? Okay, is technology good, or should technology be left aside? Should we have only offline schooling? It's not about that. Everything makes education. Schooling, unschooling, technology, or no technology, everything makes schooling happen, and ultimately it leads to education. Artificial intelligence is where I would like to use it in my schools, and we are using it, is to ease the work of the teachers, especially when it comes to a repetitive work or when there is something very mundane, which doesn't require something that the teacher needs to put in. One of the things that India lacks is research and the ability to make our children think. We teach every subject with a full stop. Science is taught with a full stop. History is taught with a full stop. Why don't we put a comma after that? Why don't we make the children come back to question things around them? A simple example that I can give you is why technology can help is that one of my 11th standard students challenged Newton's third law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. His paper got accepted by the International Association of Physicists. And when he put across his paper, and after all he was a 16-year-old, they asked for evidences. And what did we do? We just contacted physicists across the world. And what do you expect them to do? They opened their windows and all the emails and all possible research support for this 16-year-old so that he could prove a point. Imagine a 16-year-old trying to question such a great scientist whom we have all accepted with a full stop. Today he's just cleared his 12th standard exam. There were 7 universities waiting to accept him. They are now going to further work on his project so that maybe in after 4 years, they'll come out with that research. I'm giving this example to tell you how AI helps, how machine learning helps. So all of machine learning is a part of AI. but not all of AI is a part of machine learning. So one has to remember that avenues that we can open up, one. Two is that the future of work is something that you and I do not know. And the future of work has different kinds of skills. I'd like to talk about a few skills which I think is very important. One is creativity, collaboration, and the third one is communication. The fourth one is simple common sense, because education is common sense. If we don't apply that, so there's no point in teaching a 5-year-old, look left, look right, and then cross the road. Because here, people don't follow the rules. So while you're crossing, looking left, there's somebody from the right who can knock you down. So can I have the power to think? So if we are going to be doing this, we can help children to build on common sense. That's another skill that I think is very, very important for children. And again, how do you build on common sense? You have to make them think. How do you allow them to think? Make them question, make them listen to questions. How do you get that kind of thing? It cannot be done only within the classroom, within the school. It needs to get collaborative across the world. I think one of the most beautiful moments of these last 2 years have been when children had access to any professor, any mathematician, any scientist across the world. Everybody we could hear, we could listen to them, we could even interact. And I think that's the beauty of technology, and that's what we have to open up. It's not only to say I'm making PowerPoint presentations. It's not only to say that I'm doing online assessments. Online assessments was done even 15 years back. I've done it myself. So that's not a great thing. But how can I make creative assessments is what it is. Creative assessments which will allow children to think. There is nothing from the textbooks. So that's what we have come to at this point of time, and I think we all have to use technology, be it AI, be it, because I think, I just see it like this. You go sit in an Uber, you know the expected time of arrival, okay? You go to Amazon, it prompts you and tells you what are your interests like. All of that is AI. Because from your history of your purchases, it knows your interest and your likes and dislikes. So your choices are known. That's AI. It's preempting your choice. Why can't we think about something like this for education? Why can't we make choices of interest for subjects popping up like this for our children when they are reading and browsing through the net? When that happens, I think we'll be opening up windows of inquiry, windows of reflection, and windows of collaboration across the world.
Very beautifully put, I think. She summed it up very, very well. And I don't know if any of you have read this book by Bernard Marr on, AI in practice. And, it's a stunning book. And, we are all, using, tools with AI or backed by AI. But as educationals, maybe we think, okay, this is something that is not so familiar with me. Like you rightly said, if you look at, I think the best example would be Alibaba. If you look at Alibaba, the way they're actually using AI, the total sales for them is much more than Amazon and eBay put together. Now, how have they achieved this? It is only because of the advancement and the way they're using artificial intelligence. There's another company which, kind of interested me in all of this. And, it's called Baidu. And it's made by the Chinese. And it takes just 3.5 seconds to record your voice. And an entire book will be read out to you in your own voice. So we're talking of audiobooks. How much more personalized can that get? So I think when the future is like this, if we don't start encouraging our children, to start coding and get into machine learning and AI and things like that, I think it will be a brilliant exposure for them. The question that comes to my mind is it for every kid, is what we're asked all the time. I don't think it's for every kid. Coding is not for every kid. But I think every kid has a right to the opportunity, because unless we expose it to everybody, then the few may take it to the next level. and go on to, do their graduation and post-graduation in it. But the basics of it is so, so important. So I think, we all have to accept that it's here to stay, and this is what we need to get our schools to start doing. I'll pass the next question to Mrs. Suseela. There are a plethora of companies now providing online education. In fact, I think it's too many. And how do you, as an educator, decide on what is best for your children? That's a challenge, because quite often we take something and we just continue with it, or we don't have time to actually look at what the other companies are. How did you go about it?
Good afternoon, everyone. I think the topic started very well with myth and reality. The reality is, we used to speak from past that something which is audiovisual, which has a lot of significance on psychomotor, affective and cognitive domains. We used to use a lot of technology-oriented things. But now, because of COVID, it was very helpful to us, and we came across various platforms. When we had to start online classes, there were so many platforms which were available. We started with Zoom, then they came up telling that, it's not very safe to use. Then we started looking at the various other options. Microsoft was there, and then Google created a very good platform wherein Google Classrooms were used. In spite of having plethora of companies who are coming up with a lot of technology-oriented learning, I can tell you as a substitute or support system to education. First, we need to list down what is our requirement, what is the need we have got, and then try to analyze thoroughly wherein that will be as a support system to us or not. Because many companies come up, but how many of them are really approachable when you come up with some kind of problem? Are there solutions for that? This is something what we need to look at. And I feel with the children getting exposed to a lot of AI, AR, VR, if we give it as a project to the senior students, then they themselves will come up with plenty of options wherein they become institutions and they become entrepreneurs, where they come up with what individual schools need instead of going out and hunting for something. I think these kind of projects, once we give to the students, that is the best gift they can give back to the schools where they study, being the alumni of the school also. So,
well put. But, I think, for many schools, you have ready-made content available given by this company or that company that most schools take. However, we have to look at the other side of the coin. When people can't afford to take this, then what happens? Extremely happy to share. I'm sure that all of you are, familiar with the Diksha portal that, the government has come up with, which has some fantastic resources given by some of the top schools in India. So I think that is free. So you do have open source as well. So I think, teachers and principals should go through these sites and then, encourage teachers to do it. We need not create the wheel, I feel that what is available, we need to use. And for the, rural sector, where we want to use technology for them and it's not available because of internet, I think they do have TVs in most villages now. And, there's something called Swayam Prabha. I don't know how many of you know about it, but they deliver content in multiple languages
to research for themselves. Now, the most important revolution, what I feel is, the child is at his own pace, can achieve many, many more degrees and many more specialized skills apart from the main course of the graduation or post-graduation. So parallel studies can go on. That has become revolutionized. Now next is for the school owners. The one more favorable thing is we can multiply with the admissions. Because online, there may be children, we may children take from the Denmark or from Dubai, from Malaysia. They are our children that they are on our roll and they are learning remotely. They are giving assessment remotely, but they are on our roll. Why? Because with the hybrid model, we can cater to all of them. So the class strength can be doubled up. Also, the revolution in the sense of opening the opportunities. Now, with the distance learning, lot of opportunities are at the doorsteps of the children. Especially, I can quote here the homeschooling. So the parents, those who are thinking to specialize their children in particular field and skill or something, this technology has given them lot of opportunity to keep the children at home, train them, at the same time give them the proper education. But here, again, I would like to emphasize more on the emotional development and social development, but specialized skill can go ahead simultaneously. For example, our very popular singer on the internet now, Maithili Thakur. If we read her biography, she has done her homeschooling up to grade 6, and she has become great singer today. And after grade 6, she has gone into the mainstream. That has revolutionized. So technology has really revolutionized our thinking of our parents, thinking of our children, and thinking of the school owners also.
Sure, thank you. I think as we're running short of time, can I just ask each one of you to give a concluding line, on your views? Can I begin with you, Mrs. Revathi?
I think education today needs to be looked very differently. There are no real rules and regulations about what education can be, because all of us must remember education is not equal to qualifications. The new world that we are living in requires a new mind, and a new mind requires new knowledge, new skill set, new attitudes, and new skills. So I think all of these will help us look at education differently and prepare our children for a future that you and I may not see now, but a world of skills that they should know.
Thank you so much for that. And Mrs. Suseela, one short line, how you'd like to conclude?
In order to adapt to the change in education system and technology, I think neuroplasticity is what we all have to undergo, wherein we wire and rewire our brains, and then you unlearn whatever you have got, and be adaptable and be approachable, wherein every teacher should understand the neuroscience part and try to understand the brain of the child. So it will be easy for us to understand individually and adopt technology or no technology depending on the ability of the child.
Wonderfully put. Yeah. I think, Ms. Kavita, if you could also give your concluding line.
I would like to quote with, technology is boon only when the teacher is well trained. We have to invest lot of time and energy on training of the teacher. If she can use the technology effectively, then the technology in the classroom will be very, very effective and helpful and aid to the mainstream of education.
Thank you so much to all the panelists. So what I would like to say is that technology is here to stay, and we are not threatened in any way. I'm sure that we as schools will stand tall because we just don't deliver content. We help children discover everything that they ought to do during their schooling years. It's character building, social skills, emotional skills, their physical wellness, and a lot more. But of course, we know that the future is something that is unknown to us. So introducing technology and ensuring that they do it in a creative way is impertinent for all of us. I think the best way to start off is, off-screen algorithms. So this is how the analytical mind would work, playing these games, giving these little problems so that the children can solve them, and then getting them interested into AI and machine learning and things like that, coding, etc., would be a fantastic thing to do. Thank you all once again. I enjoyed myself, hosting y'all. I hope y'all did too. Thank you.
That was a wonderful discussion. I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. A big thank you to all the panelists for providing their insights on the topic. Can I request Ms. Sarama John to kindly felicitate the panelists? Let's have a round of applause, please. Thank you, panelists, and thank you, Ms. Arama. May I request Ms. Manisha Bale, the Director of Garden World, and Mr. Pradeep Kumbaswamy, the MD of Garden World, to come on stage.